My name is Wiley Charlton Fairless. I would like you to know a little bit about my life. It all started when I was born on May 25, 1863, in Reynoldsburg, Illinois. Reynoldsburg is in Johnson County, Illinois. My father Wiley Richard Fairless was born in 1836, in the same county as me. My father never met me. He was serving in the Union Army during the Civil War when I was born. He was in Company G, of the 120th Illinois Infantry Regiment. He died at Camp Memphis of pneumonia, just 9 months into his service to our country. He is buried at the Reynoldsburg Church Cemetery in southern Illinois. My mother Lucinda Moran Blaine was born in 1843, in Missouri. When they married in 1860, my mother was 7 years younger than my father. Just 3 years into their marriage together, my father, Wiley R. Fairless, would pass. My widowed mother remarried on May 1, 1865. His name is John DuPont. He fought in the Civil War as a Union veteran. Even though he was my stepfather, he was the only father I knew, and he raised me as his own. He was a corporal in the 1st Regiment, Illinois Light Artillery, Battery K. John DuPont's story, her husband after Wiley R. Fairless died in the Civil War, and their life together is an amazing story of an immigrant and the American dream. John and Lucinda built the DuPont house in 1872. He chose an isolated setting 2 blocks from downtown New Burnside, a remote village in the northeast corner of the county. It was the first house constructed when the village was founded. John DuPont was not an architect, but he came from a family of carpenters and laborers. While he was building his home and his mill in New Burnside, waiting for the latest in mill equipment he ordered to arrive by rail from New York State and trying his hand at coal mining, John DuPont had the companionship and assistance of 2 brothers, Francis and Evariste. Francis had stayed in St. Genevieve after their father died in 1857. At one time he was listed as mill manager in New Burnside on a county report. A Frenchman, he came in 1847 as a young boy of 8 with his parents and 9 siblings to the United States because they, like so many others, might starve if they remained in their homeland. His was the French Alps. His father needed work and knew he would find it through family and friends in America. When Bartholdi started the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor in 1875, a gift to this country from the people of France, the DuPont's needs were being met in the Midwest. John DuPont had a family history of a contributing life in the French Alps and a supporting role in the court of Napoleon, the first emperor of France, by serving his favorite sister, Princess Pauline. His family left for America because of miserable living conditions in France in the mid-1840s. John was one of 10 children of Jean-François DuPont and Françoise Adam DuPont, called Maggie, who left their home in Thones, Haute-Savoie, France along with many other families for St. Genevieve, Missouri where they had relatives. This picture was taken of Maggie DuPont about 5 years after they arrived in America. After arriving in November 1847 aboard the ship named Howard in New Orleans, the family stayed for a time at a major plantation on the banks of the Mississippi River owned by Bill and Del Homer. DuPont left his home across the Mississippi River in St. Genevieve, Missouri, and settled in southern Illinois. His career choice made Little Egypt, as the southern end of the state is called, an ideal fit. The area was older and better cultivated. It was anchored by the confluence of the mighty Mississippi with the Ohio River at Cairo, Illinois. Corn was gathered, as the sand of the sea, wrote Grace Humphrey in her Illinois history. Wheat reached for the sky, so tall it blocked the view of those who walked through it. The region was perfect for a man in pursuit of one flour mill after another, before undertaking the expansion of his business into Kansas, near where his brothers had relocated, and become farmers. Shortly after the large, 2-story frame house was completed, John DuPont became a Johnson County Commissioner in January 1879, 1 year after the new Illinois state constitution was fully in place. Johnson County had enacted a form of county government, approved by the voters, which replaced the township form. DuPont was one of 3 men elected to the new office of Johnson County Commissioner, organizing the commission form of government which is still in place today. DuPont was respected in the community. He stood for fair treatment for all, proved by his actions such as riding his horse alone into the night to confront the Ku Klux Klan, men hooded, masked and clothed in white sheets extended to drape over their horses and mules as they terrorized people whom they saw as different. DuPont remarked the dozen men and horses were so completely disguised as to render it impossible to recognize them. I married Alice Ruth Allen on October 12, 1887, at age 24 in Illinois. She was born in 1867, in Warwick County, Indiana. We probably met through her brother, Ralph, who lived in New Burnside, Illinois near me and ran one of my 4 mills. She was 19 years old when we married, 5 years younger than me. We had one daughter, Julia, born is August 8, 1889. My wife, Alice, died February 23, 1898, when Julia was only 8 years old. I was gone so much taking care of the mill business that the best place for Julia to be was with my mother, Lucinda DuPont. While taking Julia to school, I met her school teacher, Nola. Later on, I married Nola Farrell on January 10, 1900, at age 36 in Creel Springs, Illinois. This is the picture from our wedding day. Since John DuPont raised me, I had always gone by his last name. Turns out that we found out that I was never formally adopted by John DuPont. So my last name went back to being Fairless when I got married. Nola was 26 years old when we married, 10 years younger than me, being born in 1873, in Creel. We had 6 children, Dent, Laura, Vivian, Velma, Velsie and Dean. Every daughter's middle name is a flower. Nola used to smile and say that she didn't just have a family, but also a bouquet. The kids always referred to Nola as Mother Fairless. The DuPont Fairless mill business continued to grow. I had several mills in southern Illinois and one even in Kingman, Kansas from the DuPont family. I opened a pool hall in Kingman, Kansas. That's me next to the pool table with a mustache and hat about 1910. We moved a few times due to the mills. This is our backyard in Creel Springs, Illinois. Seems like everyone back then had a cow, chickens, and hogs. I had 6 grandchildren. Carol and Harry from my daughter Laura Violette. Ronald, James and Denna from my son Dean. And so I must leave you now. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story. I leave you with the last words I said to my daughter, Velma, before I passed in 1914 at the age of 50. Goodbye, for a little while.